Yes, I came in, but I saw you were busy, so.
Oh, wow. Right here again. Right here again.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, you're so much on time. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I mean, I could be at work somewhere and punching a clock and you would be on time and I would be forced to be on time. I've never been on time, but yes, I have.
Yes, you have.
Going right along. Here we are with Media Watch again. My column from the African Times newspaper, printed in 1996, 1999, and I'm reading columns from this newspaper. For those who've asked, like, hey, where can I read some of this stuff? I'll get to that in a bit. But what I'd like to have you understand is that this is what happened in the past, and I'm really reading it to see how much reflection it has on today. And having said that,
And the African Times was the publisher?
African Times was published by Mr. Charles Anyiam.
And your column was called?
It was on Wilshire Boulevard.
Okay. And your column, the name of your column?
The title of the column, Media Watch.
Okay. All right. Well,
My job was to watch the media.
aha.
And that's what I did.
Report on it. Okay.
That's what I still do. It's unavoidable now with all of this entertainment going on. Anybody get put in jail today?
Right.
Oh, okay, well,
Right.
I'll ask again tomorrow.
Okay.
Somebody is destined to be in jail. A warm feeling circulates through my body. The kinky was well made, firm. Kinky is a West African, Ghanaian.
What's the title of this one that you're reading?
Made out of corn.
Right. What's the title?
The title of this particular is called "It's Our Time."
Oh.
It's our time.
Yes.
That's the title of the column.
Okay.
I used to name things all kind of time, like it's not your time. This is our time. A warm feeling circulates through my body. The kinky was well made, firm, with that exquisite sourdough aftertaste that comes when the corn has been properly milled and soaked. The groundnut stew was not too thick or thin, and the huachinango was as firm as steak. Huachinango is Aztec Spanish for red snapper, fish. The new year has taken my eclectic appetite to 6 African restaurants already, and I'm headed for number 7 by the end of the week. Strangely, I find myself enjoying these outings with African friends, seldom with African American friends. I'm puzzled. I ask questions. It's always the Mexican place, the Chinese, Thai, Italian, Indian, whatever, but not African restaurants. Why? I just don't have a Jones for that kind of food. I don't quite know what goes in it. Ironically, the speaker has a mom who who will be right at home in any Nigerian kitchen after a few spicy adjustments were made. Shades of Faustina Ohinewa,
Ah.
the lady who cooks such beautiful meals at the Acacia Lodge in Hatsu, just outside of Accra in Ghana. I'm getting off the track, let me go back. I just don't have a Jones for that kind of food. I don't quite know what goes in it. Ironically, the speaker has a mom who will be right at home in any Nigerian kitchen after a few spicy adjustments were made. Oh well, to each his own. The kinky fed warmth causes me to stare out of the window of the restaurant with a lazy bunch of thoughts. How long will the fundamentalists in Algeria continue to slash villager throats? What's going to happen there? Morocco. Who would have believed that Playboy King Hassan would become a responsible ruler, a consummate politician over the years? Gaddafi might be thought to be the Dennis Rodman of the North African states, but it's quite obvious that he's as bad as he wants to be. Mauritania, Mali, Niger, Chad are becoming deserts, forcing millions down the west coast. Sudan, so much misery in such large doses. How many thousands will starve to death next week? Egypt, defying many traditionalists, has a system of all-girls schools. Somebody in the government took a look at some pretty ratty statistics. 64% of the boys and men 15 years and older can read and write, while fewer than 39% of the girls and women can. And decided to do something about it. 1993. Imagine what it would feel like to be surrounded by newspapers, magazines, books, street signs, and be unable to decipher anything. Wow. Some Egyptian feminists have reservations about the idea of maintaining separate gender school systems, arguing it will encourage archaic ideas about girls and, in effect, give them inferior educations. There's a rock and a hard place here. They can have something that is better than what they've had, but it isn't as good as it should be. Novelist Sawa Sadawi fears that the state is surrendering to religious fanatics rather than fighting for a more liberated society. I am very much against girls being educated alone, Sadawi says. I'm for co-education from the beginning of school all the way to university. Boys and girls are together on the streets and everywhere else, so why should we have to separate them at education? It's very unnatural. The schools are largely of the one-room variety, but the effects of being exposed to new notions, information about family planning, health and hygiene, environmental concerns, and eradicating the still widespread practice of female circumcision are being felt throughout the society. There's hope. What's going on in Gabon, Cameroon, Burundi, Tanzania, Malawi, Eritrea, all of those places in Africa that receive so little notice ordinarily. I sit and sip another ginger beer, wool gathering, flicking what? Back and forth mentally. What effect will the euro currency have on various African economies? There's certain to be some kind of effect. Have to talk with my friend PK about this. She knows all about money. Angola. What a terrible situation the Portuguese left behind when they cut bait in 1975. Many of us want to blame the warring factions for the present set of circumstances. Not fair. If there had not been a Salazar in Portugal, there would not have been a Savimbi, strangely, incredibly, unbelievably, Africans and African diasporans, that's us, are the only beings on the planet who are asked to dismiss the effects of negative history. Ah, come on, guys. Let's forget about slavery. That's been over for quite a while now. Would anyone dare ask the Armenians to forget the Holocaust inflicted on them by the Turks in 1915? The mind-numbing cruelty of the Japanese occupation of Korea for 36 years. The Anglo-genocide of the Native Americans. Well, they try every year with Thanksgiving. The Jews under the Nazis. The Japanese at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The Vietnam War. Where does that come from? This glib suggestion that we divorce ourselves from our history. I wonder what kinds of countries, Angola, Congo, Gabon, Cameroon, Nigeria, Benin, Togo, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Senegal, Gambia, and Mauritania would be if they had not been source elements for the slave business. A very dark man enters the restaurant, smiling as though he's just discovered a barrel of new money. We exchange pleasant nods. His red and black zebra-striped shirt is an eye feast. The colors flash me back to Monday, December 7th, 1998. The Beverly Hills Hotel, Beverly Hills, California, celebrate Africa Festival. The purpose? To promote the understanding of a new Africa. The CEO of the African Times calls it a journey of honor. Finally realizing I've missed the appointment I didn't want to make, I pay Stella and stroll out of the door thinking about Reverend Leon Sullivan's African-American Summit in Accra, Ghana, May 17th to the 23rd, 1999. If we can bring Africans and African Americans together in an effort to make the world a better place, they will work throughout future decades to bring peace and prosperity to all. For more information on the summit, call 1-800-835-3530. Member. Okay, that's one column. I didn't always write about Africa in these columns. From time to time, I went off the beaten path onto other paths. This particular path took me to, of all places, Cancun, Mexico. I did the column in two separate columns because there was so much. So on this occasion, I will just simply read column 1 and at some future time, read column 2. The motivation for the column was one that happened to the tourist industry in Cancun, in that area where they had some severe storms and so forth and so on. And the publisher came to me and said, "Hey, Odie, how would you like to go to Cancun for a week?" Well, yeah, I was packed and ready to go by the time he finished asking the question. The reason we were being given a bunch of journalists from different places. I remember there was someone from La Opinion, from the newspaper here, the Spanish language newspaper, and several other people from different parts of the country. We were being given a free trip, a free ride, and all of that because the hotel owners in that area thought that perhaps the storms and the possibility of the storms might keep people away from, spending money coming to Cancun. So doing the smart PR thing, they invited us down and we went. This is part one. I was on Aero Mexico flight 491 to Mexico City before the reality of the moment sank in on me. Cancun, Mexico, Yucatan. I was on my way to one of the most historically rich sections of Mexico and of the world. No doubt in my mind that the trip was surely the result of hundreds of hours of dreamy thinking that I've done about this section of Mexico for many years. On a more prosaic level, it was the opportunity that editor-in-chief of the African Times, C. Charles Anyiam, dangled in front of my typewriter that placed me on the plane. How would you like to go to Cancun, all expenses paid, to do a story? I didn't have to offer ambiguous notions for longer than a second. Of course I want to go. I was practically on my way with the reaffirming facts. We, the travel editor of La Opinion and two other travel writers from publications in Northern California, were going to be given 5 days at the Caesar Park Hotel in Cancun, a world-class establishment by anyone's measure. The reasons why we're being invited were not totally unpolitical. The hotel industry in Cancun and the surrounding area is totally dependent on tourism, and there were a number of tourists, corporate entities, who had canceled their winter junkets because of hurricane fear and poor geographical studies. The hurricane that devastated Honduras and nearby areas didn't blow a puff of wind at Cancun. But that's not what the executives read in their reports. They took misplaced site bites from CNN and other media and came to their own conclusions. The four of us were going to be given Barrera seats to reaffirm that Cancun, the Caesar Park, and the surrounding areas were unaffected by Hurricane Mitch. That's not McConnell, just Mitch. We may have had reservations, but we were delighted to be able to tell the truth. Aero Mexico 579 to Cancun, Mexico City to Cancun, back to the future. I felt myself being transported forward to an incredibly ancient history. The Yucatan, Cancun, Quintana Roo, Mayalum, Mayaland. The Caesar Park Hotel complex, complete with a Tiger Woods class golf course, was going to offer us superb accommodations, world-class cuisine, Mexican, Japanese, Italian, and international, and an ambiance that only a Swiss hotel keeper like Director General Peter M. Lader and a communications manager like Lucia Samaniego de Trevino could offer. No problem was too great for them to solve, including the bad rap that Hurricane Mitch laid on their turf. But that wasn't my primary concern. I had already delved into the weather reports and results, and they clearly showed me, via computer printouts, that Cancun was one of the most desirable places on earth to visit. My fixation was on the area that I had been invited to visit, one of the most sophisticated cultures of pre-Columbian America. I felt that any visit to Yucatan, to Mayalum, would have to be categorized very mysterious, or maybe profoundly mysterious. Of course, we all know mysterious refers to circumstances that have been that seem beyond human comprehension. In many ways, the incredible genius that's characterized that Mayan city-state is labeled mysterious because it beggars the modern imagination. Consider, way back when European science at its peak was filled with superstitious notions, the Mayan civilizations were creating incredibly accurate calendars, making astral discoveries, and living in sophisticated cities with large populations. Chichen Itza, Tulum, Uxmal, Palenque, Chakumbutuntan, Chitampak, Cozumel, Cancun. I've wrapped my tongue around some X's that sound like ish, ish. They were the greatest builders of their time. Nowadays, the names of their complex city-states are mostly of interest to archaeologists and touristas, but during the Spanish invasion, one of them described the whole country with these words: the whole country looked like one city. The Mayas created immense temple cities that were religious civic centers. They used lime mortar and cut blocks of stone with stone axes. Talk about rocks in hard places. Many of the buildings that they erected, now called ruins, have been excavated and studied, but there's still many others remaining hidden in the jungles of the Yucatan. The Mayas developed a sophisticated form of writing, yet left no explanation as to why they abandoned these temple cities. Palenque in Mexico, Tikal in Guatemala, for example. A spiritually mature friend suggests, without smiling, that they may have returned to the planet they came from, leaving a small rear guard on Earth. I don't want to touch that. Astounding architectural achievement, astronomical sophistication, spiritually powerful, great navigators. They may have visited the west coast of Africa. Entrepreneurs, politicians, historians, warriors. Maybe they were from somewhere else. Maybe they were from somewhere else. Today, the Mayas are one of the largest groups of Native Americans in the New World, whose dialects belong to the same linguistic family. 2 million Mayas, the supernatural rear guard, still live in the Yucatan Peninsula and in nearby Guatemala, and they remain Indios sobrevividores, rebellious Indians. In any case, looking at a closer reality, the Mayas fought the Spanish invaders for 200 years, from 1519 to 1696, and continued to resist foreign domination. The last major resistance in 1947 in the Yucatan Peninsula was called the War of the Castes, pitting the Indian Mayas against oppressive Mexican rule. The Native Americans had the battle won, but stopped the war at well, I'm gonna leave it there and continue with the second column tomorrow.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. All right.
I'll just leave it there.
Left it in the
To whet your appetite and maybe
in the Mayan history book.
and
Okay.
titillate your senses.
Okay.
But it was a beautiful trip. I'm glad I took it, and I'm glad I got back.
Amen. There.
And one of the reasons I'm glad I got back is that I'm sitting up here in Cafe Soda,
We enjoy your company.
sipping my coffee.
Enjoy your music playing. Your drumming.
Yes.
Yes.
I bring my bongos with me wherever I go.
Okay.
Gives me something to beat on.
I'll leave that one alone. Your website is www.odiehawkins.com. Your books can be purchased on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, local bookstore. Just go in and say, I want a copy of Odie Hawkins books. Your radio plays can be purchased at Old Time Radio. And of course, just Google Odie Hawkins and you're just all over the place.
Are you telling me all this?
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you did, because I didn't know.
Ciao.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.